don't want to fail and they don't want other people to see them fail.
We're in the car losing my mind. And he's like, do you need to just do a primal scream? Yeah. And I was just like, ah. Well, it was fine.
I think I'm just at the point where I just want to have fun doing shit that I haven't done before. I don't take it very seriously anymore. I'm just like, let's just go have fun. It's gonna be great.
Everybody out there is there to see you succeed and wants you to shoot your best. Here in TAC games, I don't think there's people. I think there's just a bunch of competitors that want to do their best for other people and help other people succeed.
But in my past, I've worked with a lot of just people who are satisfied just being mediocre at their job, just going up, punching, doing the bare minimum to get by. And that mindset, I cannot comprehend.
Because growth doesn't come from comfort. It comes from doing the shit that you don't feel like doing. This is Discomfort Required. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Discomfort Required. We got my friends Kelly and Jon Urwiler on today. They are tactical games badasses, and we're going to get into how they got into the tactical games, what kind of mindset it takes to compete in this sport, and how they go about it, and talk about maybe what some advice would be for somebody getting into this awesome thing where you get to shoot guns and play with some fitness stuff. Cool. How are you guys today?
Good.
Good. Yourself?
Doing great. I got a workout in today. I love Saturdays because it's kind of like just bodybuilding. So I just go into the gym, hammer it out, and then come home and eat food or whatever. And then a bunch of friends are at the gym doing a class workout after open gym. So I went by, brought my buddy Greg, who's coaching, some coffee, hung out, watched everybody run around and do some stuff. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go. So it was great.
Sounds more fun than our Saturday morning, but yes.
Yeah. For sure. So you were just telling me you started Saturday doing hill sprints. We're going to get into that. And that sounds absolutely awful. Getting into this, guys, the first question I love asking everybody is what discomfort required means to you. So Kelly, let's go with you first. What does that statement ring true to you?
I mean, basically, if there's anything you're going for in life, not even just like tactical games related, if it's something at school, if it's something work related, or you're just, trying to hit a PR in the gym, I mean, you're going to have to put in the work. You're going to have to put in dedicated time, effort, and it's not going to feel good. So it's going to be uncomfortable, right? So if you want to grow, you have to get uncomfortable in any aspect of where you're trying to level up. So of course, related to the tactical games, yeah, you lift heavy shit, run some hill sprints in the heat, don't turn on the air conditioner in your gym. And, hopefully that will just help to level you up the next time, you're in a competition. Yeah. But again, it's even, like at work, or if you're at school, like if you're in school, you're trying to graduate, trying to get a degree, maybe you're busy working, it's hard to go to school and work. You're going to put in late nights. That's uncomfortable. You're tired, you're dragging. But if you want something bad enough, yeah, you're going to have to get uncomfortable.
For sure. And Kelly, you have a pretty intense job, right? That has to be uncomfortable, playing with 3D modeling people's hearts that we're going to get into. I'm sure prepping for that and going through that daily, that's got to be just getting out of your comfort zone no matter what. Because I mean, that's people's lives and things like that. That's on the on the table.
Yes, there's a lot we can talk about that. I know why you're laughing. When I very first started that, and we'll get into it, but when we very first started that, I used to come home every day crying like, I can't do this. This is too hard. I can't do it. But, I told myself, okay, if at the 1 year mark, you're still coming home every day saying it's too hard, you can't do it, then yeah, you can quit. You can find something else. And somewhere along the way, I just stopped doing that. The year came and went. And one day I was like, oh yeah, I'm just doing it. I'm just figuring it out. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot of discomfort there.
Yeah, I love that. That's super cool. Jon, what about you?
I think discomfort kind of pushing those limits for me is exactly that. A world that doesn't seem to want to be in any level of discomfort or pain. You got to find your limits and then figure out how to push past them. And, whether it's, like she said, working out when it's 110 out, or doing hill sprints in the middle of the morning when it's 110 out, or, kind of going out with the tactical games and pushing every limit and then coming back and going, okay, what did I suck real bad at? And then how do I hammer that shit until I don't suck at that anymore? People just don't want to do that anymore. And that's, when you start getting into competitive, whether it's tactical games or triathlons or strong, whatever you're doing, if you just stay at the same baseline and you're into CrossFit, right? If you just lift what you can lift, you're never going to get stronger. You're never going to get faster. You're just going to stay at that level. You have to find discomfort Like I was running hill sprints the other morning. This group of people I thought was like staring at me, partly because I was doing these hill sprints and like it's a field of water. I was just running through the water, and I realized they were not staring at me because I'm look cool. They're staring at me because I'm running through water and that's running up a hill. And you're like, why the hell would I do that? I mean, the water is there. It's not going to stop me from, it's uncomfortable. Now I got blisters from running through water and, but you have to push limits. And I think you just have to find that discomfort level and then figure out how to push past it. Cause your mind is going to want to quit way before your body ever wants to quit. Like you have way more push and you just have to figure out how to turn. I call it my dumb switch, where you just flip the switch and you just get after it. And then go, well, yeah, it hurts, but taking a break's not going to make it better. Let's just keep pushing.
I love
Either
that.
break or I'll just keep going. And usually I just keep going. So
yeah, I absolutely love that. It like those people were looking at you like you were insane, by the way. It wasn't they were not looking at you like you were cool.
No, not at all. But I've seen myself around and it is not cool looking at all. Like, yeah.
It's slogging. It's sounding like a walrus. Like, man, this is hard.
I think I'm all fast and I'm basically walking. But, yeah, hey.
Yeah, it's always fun filming things like that. And you're like, wow, I thought I was so much more athletic. And it turns out I'm not. Happens to me all the time.
The best one is when you have somebody videotape you, and you'll find this out when you're doing like a shooting aggregate and you're like, man, I moved through that fast. And then you watch the video and you're like, am I walking? Like, is this like walking?
Yeah.
In
fact, I was walking.
Yes, I was walking and missing at the same time. It's amazing.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I love those answers. I think to speak to your point, people are just comfortable just being comfortable and just going through life, doing the same thing over and over every day. And that is my biggest pet peeve. I get to coach a lot of people and I get to see like a lot of progress and a lot of growth. And there's some people that just come into the gym and it's like they're just checking a box. If that works for them, that's perfectly fine. When you see that bleed over into like other parts of their life where they're working the job that they hate constantly and they're not doing anything to like progress. They go home, they eat cookies, they watch TV, and then they, wash and repeat. And it's like, that sounds so boring to me, right? And in a world where it is, people are set in that mindset, I want to help inspire, and that's why I'm having you guys on. Inspire people to like, hey, get off your ass, go do some cool shit. Like, do some shit you've never done before, regardless of like what it is. There's a lot of people that are intimidated by guns. That is a whole thing. There's a lot of people that are intimidated by fitness, and that is a whole thing. And it's like, go out and do something that, like,
together.
Exactly. Like, just make it like, oh no, let's never do that. But like, I want people to see like, there's nothing wrong with this. Like, it is a beyond helpful skill, and it's just going to make you better athletically and get you like thinking outside of your box, which is super cool.
I think the scary part about that is people don't want to fail, and they don't want other people to see them fail. And you go, well, that's part of growth, and that's part of that discomfort is looking dumb, making bad choices. Hopefully they're all safe bad choices. Like I planned my stage wrong and I shot poorly. Obviously, safety is paramount to this whole experience, right? But people just don't want to fail. And you go, well, if I go out and I totally shit the bed, and again, I go back to what I was telling you before we got on, if I destroyed my entire weekend with the first two stages in Idaho, and then I can come to the realization of just having fun shooting in Idaho, and I actually get to do this in life, and it was totally worth it, but I still technically failed. You just, so you just have to like take that with a grain of salt, but you have to be willing to fail to do any of this stuff. But same with going to a CrossFit competition. How many people wish they could do a CrossFit competition?
Right.
And just don't, because they don't want to go out and fail or look dumb in front of other people.
Well, and that's kind of one thing that we've talked about a little bit, because we have an event coming up next month in Montana where we're actually going as individuals, and I'm totally petrified. So I'm like you. I'd rather just do it as teams. It's a lot more fun to share the pain and, suffering with someone. And, I have all these moments where I have a lot of self-doubt. Like, I don't know, I'm not good enough. I shouldn't be doing this. And he's like, okay, hold on. In all of the world, think of how many women, first of all, are even wanting to do this, are willing to do this, can do it with the means, and then are doing it. It's like, you're such a small percentage of the people. I mean, who cares if you go out there and you come in last? You're still doing the thing. It's still fun. You're still learning. As long as you don't disqualify or get hurt, who cares? And so I have to think of that, sometimes also when it comes, to some of this stuff. But yeah, like talking about people being comfortable or scared or not willing to do it. I try to remind myself that maybe there's people out there that wish they could do it. So since I can. I should.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever happens, it'll be fine.
Yeah. And
yeah.
And I mean, that's the shit that inspires people. So like my fiance, when I first brought this up to her, she was terrified. Like, and she's like, she was very uncomfortable around firearms and all this stuff. We went to and took a firearms class, and she was still terrified of it. And every week we go to the range, and she put, rounds down range, and she's like getting better and better. And now she's more comfortable. I feel like when people get more comfortable, they're safer, right? When you're uncomfortable, it's just like when you're walking on a roof and you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna fall. You're gonna manifest that shit. You're gonna fall. Hey, be confident that you're gonna be safe, and then go with it that way. But looking, like, honestly, watching videos of, competitions in Europe, you are inspiring people to do this stuff. And that's why it's super, super important for people to see the shit and hear the shit. Like, I think it's super cool. So how did we get into this? So people can hear, like, I started somewhere. How did I get into this aggressive fitness extravaganza? I'm sure it's going to be different for everybody, right? And I want to hear where you came from fitness, because I know when we first chatted, you did some marathons and you did some triathlons and things like that. How did this all come about? John, let's start with you. Where did it all start?
I mean, I guess the background of competing started in, like you said, I have been doing random CrossFit competitions and half marathons, half Ironmans, and did strongman for a while. I kind of jumped around to all these different things. I threw Highland Games for a lot of years and kind of played that little circuit of throwing heavy shit and telephone poles and stuff.
Hell yeah.
And it I think the thing, like, it's not that I get bored quickly, but I just am constantly trying to search for something that pushes, again, my limits, or find some new thing that I don't think I can go out and do, and figure out, like, 6'3", 220, 230, somewhere in there. I'm not really a Ironman kind of guy. So I'm like, well, I'm going to go do a freaking half Ironman and see how that turns out. Like, whatever. And then, I knew I wanted to get back into shooting. I've been shooting for a lot of years. I've been shooting since my early 20s, but never really competitively. And I'm like, I just decided some years ago, I'm like, I'm going to shoot. I want to shoot competitively. It looks fun, like USPSA, all this stuff. Why am I not doing it? And literally, I don't know if it's, the iPhones of the world listening to me, but of course, what pops up on my iPhone on Instagram is the tactical games. And as soon as I saw it, I'm like, yep, signing up. Yeah, I think a month later, I signed up for New Mexico. And I'm like, oh, there's no way I'm not doing this. And it's like a mad scramble of research and training and, going to the range and getting stuff signed in, buying all this gear. And it's like, yeah, no matter what, going to freaking New Mexico. So.
Hell yeah.
And I did it. I got freaking completely worked at that one. And I was hooked, because it's, the thing to me, when you start getting into, like, CrossFit's one of the triathlons, or one of them, obviously tactical games, you have so many little diverse subsectors of skill that you have to have. Like, you look at triathlons, you gotta be able to swim, you gotta be able to run, you gotta be able to cycle. CrossFit, you have barbell movements and strength and strongman, and you just have all this stuff. And I'm like, what better to do than add freaking shooting to all that crap? I think you have that. And I started that year doing New Mexico, and was instantly hooked, and have been going strong since then. I freaking love it.
So when you decided to do it, like, the algorithm, like, it hears you, and then it's like starts spitting all this stuff at you and all that fun stuff. Because I know that's how it works. That's how I end up buying half the shit that I buy. It's just like, oh, you were listening to me talk. That's great. I love that for me. But
that worked out really well. Yes.
So when you decided to sign up, you signed up it was at the beginning of 24?
23.
23, right? And you had 6 months to get ready, 7 months to get ready. What did that look like?
No, I think it was like a month and a half out.
Oh shit!
Because it was one of the first events of the year.
It was in February.
And it was in February, so it was literally the first event of the year. I think it was either late December or sometime early January that I came across it, and I'm like, okay, frick yeah, I'm doing this shit. Yeah, so
that's awesome. So, Kelly, how did John drag you into this?
Well, basically, somewhere around that time frame, like maybe you had come across it beforehand, before signing up. It was I think it was our 12th wedding anniversary. Like, he'd already been sort of talking about shooting. I come home, and on the counter, he had this custom AR built, like custom Cerakote. It was like Tiffany blue. All this stuff had a scope on it. Gorgeous, gorgeous. And I took one look at it, and I'm like, I'm not touching that. I don't think about it. I was like, it was beautiful, but I was totally freaked out. And so after he'd seen all this stuff, he started building some props. We went out to the desert together and he showed me all the ropes, showed me what to do. I totally had meltdowns because I couldn't figure out how to look through my scope and like get, that I forget what they call it, but where you can't see this through the scope. I think there's literally one time where I set it down, I had a tantrum, I started crying, I kicked the tires of the truck and then I took a breath and I'm like, figure this out. We came back to it, went back through it. And, I went with him to New Mexico, as an observer, like trying to help him work through all the things. And the flow of the tactical games, you have like the same kind of groups that are following each other and you're judging for each other. So there was this group of girls that, we were getting familiar with over the weekend. And at one point, one of the girls just looked at me and was like, what, you didn't want to do this? I'm like, I'm here to watch. And she's like, why didn't you just sign up and try it? I'm like, shit, okay. So when he was done with the weekend, I'm like, all right, yeah, what's up? I'm signing up. Yeah, let's do this. And so this was February. We signed up for Pahrump, Nevada, which I think was in September. And then I spent like the rest of the time completely petrified. Like, what did I do? What did I get? What's happening? What did I get into? And, I went and I did the first event. As an individual, I don't think I ate a single thing all weekend, totally petrified, just freaked out, but it didn't come in last. I didn't get injured. I didn't get disqualified. And so a couple of days after the event, I was like, because I think right afterward, he's like, well, will you do another one? And I'm like, you can't ask me right now. You cannot ask me right now. I got to just process this weekend. But then I was like, you know what? I would do another one as a team. Like I'd try it as a team. And then I don't even remember what the next one was. Maybe it was like Sierra Vista. And I realized, okay, this is super fun as a team. Love it. You're sharing the workload. You're sharing the stress. And, granted, it's a huge event. So eyes are on everyone, but it's not just me as an individual, as a lane, by myself, everyone's staring at me, even though they're not. So yeah. And then after that, it was like, yeah, let's do it. And each time they sent out the schedule, it was like, oh my God, let's do this one. Let's do this one. Let's do this one. Let's do that one. And we had gotten our passports at one point and hadn't used them on anything. So the first time last year when they did one in Poland, he's like, fuck yeah, let's sign up for Poland. And I'm like, are you serious right now? He's like, yeah, we have the passports. Why not? I'm like,
I mean, Grant, we've been talking about international travel for like years, and we're just yet again coming up with all the excuses as to why. Well, we're busy. Maybe once this settles out, or her job, or once I retired from my other job, And I was like, well, screw this. It'll force that. It'll just force international travel. And even if the whole shooting experience goes to shit, we still get a beautiful 2 weeks at the time in Poland.
That's amazing. It always seems to like there's never the right time, right? It's something should force the hand a little bit. I think that's super cool. And just doing something like that you've never done, even though you're petrified of it, like that's super dope. That takes a lot of will and a lot of asking yourself, am I really capable of doing this? And it's like, yes, the answer is always yes. You can do it. When it comes to that type of mindset, what do you think sets apart a high performer compared to somebody who just works hard? Anybody can go first. Go for it.
I think a high performer, they constantly are looking at themselves to try to figure out where the deficiencies are and then coming up with ways to overcome those deficiencies. And I think that divides people from just working hard. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with just being a hard worker. If you're happy and you have everything going the way you want, absolutely. But they're kind of in that flow state where they're doing what they do well and they work hard and they kind of get after it. And, you see a lot of those groups, even at the tactical games, right? People that are just out there to have a good time, be a part of the community. They don't really care. Like I've talked to plenty of people. It's like, hey, how'd you do on that stage? I don't know, whatever, but it was fun. Like, okay. And then, there's me, I've got my iPad and I'm like circling misses and trying to figure out why I, might have missed, or did I get out of position or whatever. And, you're just constantly in the state, and it goes back to what we were talking about earlier a little bit, but like this constant like roller coaster of emotions where you're like, man, I just destroyed this whole weekend. But that's the self-evaluation and then going, okay, how do I fix this? Like one of my deficiencies in Idaho, I shot very poorly freestanding. Guess what I do at the range? As many times as I get to the range since Idaho, it's all freestanding shooting. I dislike it, but I'm going to shoot freestanding rifle until I frickin' figure it out. When I noticed some not breathing issues, but like just the way I breathe in between shots. I started a few weeks ago, doing underwater breath hold training.
Okay.
Trying to get as many laps as I can underwater to, again, change that mindset of like, when I'm not breathing, I'm not dying.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
holding my breath for a second. And if I can extend that out. So I guess I'm not necessarily calling myself a high performer, but again, you're just those people that divide themselves out, they figure out these deficiencies and they hammer them, even if they hate them. They just go, man, I suck at this. I'm going to hammer this shit till I'm good at it. And then eventually I will love it because now I'm good at it.
Right. And I think
Worker,
I think that's the
Go ahead.
definition of a high performer, honestly. I mean, anybody who sees something and they're like, I will work hard at this no matter what. So a good way to, like, for me to quantify it is like, how much am I willing to hurt? Like when I, like at a CrossFit competition or whatever, like how much am I willing to hurt? I'm not willing to hurt like my fiance. Chelsea, she'll hurt until she dies. She goes so hard when she competes. It's not even funny. And I'm like, I get to a threshold and I'm like, I don't need to do that. It's just not who I am as a person, you know? Like, I feel like I will bust my ass when it comes to anything that my mind is set on. There's no straying from the path as soon as my mind's set up. However, I don't think CrossFit competition is like that. I don't think that's one of them because I'm just like, man, that hurts. I don't want to do that anymore.
And I'll go until I freaking tell. Like that is one thing I know about myself.
That is
Yeah.
so true.
And that's dope. Like, I will do that for anything that I really want it, not just want to want it, but if I want it, I'm like, I'll die. No big deal. But I realize that CrossFit competition is not that.
So the interesting part about that, kind of taking it back into the shooting realm and the whole, the tactical games, is you have to figure out, that's why this sport is so interesting to me, is you have to figure out how to turn that on and turn it off. If you're at like CrossFit or strongman, you can just frickin' send it, right? Like, I'm going to go until I frickin' die.
Yeah.
Well, if I can't figure out how to turn that off when I go shoot,
Yeah.
I'm going to frickin' send it, and it's going to be all over the place. Like, I have to send it, slow it down, send it, and so it's so interesting
There's like a balance.
to be able to go back and forth in that world and try and just balance that out. That's what's so freaking interesting.
So one of the things that I thought was super interesting is we competed at Wadapalooza last year in SoCal. And one of the workouts was ski erg, devil press, box jump overs, and then erg shoot. So it's laser gun, same concept. And it was like, my heart rate was so jacked. I could not land a shot to save my life. Chelsea, she's over there just knocking them out. And I'm like, this is just, let's just do this. This will be fun. It's led us into this piece. Man, I was dying. I need to figure this out. I think I'm just at the point where I just want to have fun doing shit that I haven't done before. I don't take it very seriously anymore. I'm just like, let's just go have fun. It's going to be great. So same question for you, Kelly. Like, what do you think sets apart a high performer?
I mean, to me, it's kind of a hard trick question because a high performer is a hard worker. So, I mean, yes, there's, a hard worker, and then there's a different level where, you're just sending it and you're doing everything you can to figure out how to get to the next level or where your deficiencies are. How can you hammer those and fix those? But you can't be a high performer if you're not a hard worker. You can be a hard worker and, not, at super elite level. But I mean, I still think a hard worker, is just not necessarily the average, not even again related just to the tactical games. I mean, not currently, but in my past, I've worked with a lot of just people who are satisfied just being mediocre at their job, just showing up, punching, doing the bare minimum to get by. And that mindset, I cannot comprehend. Like, I mean, why would you not want to just be pushing something, be a high performer, like learn something new, push yourself? Yeah, okay, fine. Maybe you won't get paid more in the moment, but you're still going to like grow. It's still going to keep what you're doing interesting, So, I mean, I don't know. That's kind of my take on it. That's a hard question.
I mean, it's an interesting question, not to interject, but it's interesting to me. And again, I'm not ever putting anybody down in the world, but like you take a hard worker and then a high performer. And I feel like all that group of people is such a subsector of the world at the moment. And then you have kind of everybody else that it doesn't want to do. And, there's nothing. And she is right. Yeah. You obviously have that, in my person, there's just that edge to people that want more, they want every freaking limit.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And it's like, just like you said, I don't understand. It breaks my brain looking at somebody who's just like, oh, mediocre and this is fine. I'm like, what? Like, how is that a thing? It doesn't even make sense. Like you eat the same thing every day. Also, don't do that. Like, be adventurous. Have a good steak. You know what I mean? Eat a pizza that's weird. Do something.
I'm not hamburger. I'm gonna eat a
Try.
hamburger.
Try a little bit harder.
Right.
Yeah, just try. Just try.
Yeah.
So when it comes down to it, so when we first talked, you said your approach to the tactical games is a little bit different than like if you listen to Jen's episode, right? I want to hear like what your approach to the tactical game is when you were getting into it and like how that's changed and evolved, right? So what I mean is like kind of if you were going to give advice, but like this is the way that I do it and I think this works the best.
I'll go first, I guess. When we first got into it, we were members of a CrossFit gym, but CrossFit gyms come and go, owners come and go. And we're lucky that we do have a home gym here. And like when COVID hit, that's really when the home gym like came into play because all the gyms out there were closed. Crazy.
Mhm.
So we got used to working out here. And the more and more that we do these these tactical games, there were different implements that we didn't have in our home gym because our home gym is set up like a his and hers little CrossFit gym. And so, we just kept adding different pieces, more sandbags, different cardio equipment, the strengther, the axle bars, that kind of stuff. And then we've now gotten away from a CrossFit gym, mainly for me, just, my work schedule is too crazy to try and make a 4:00 class or a 5:30 class. So I kind of just rely on myself to program my workouts. And, for me, I really wish that I could have a dedicated time every day that I could get out there, get after it, get my workout in. But it's really kind of at the mercy of my schedule. So for me, it's just kind of get it in where I can fit it in. And I'm sure at some point I should probably follow something more like somebody's programming. But, I just look at the implements that we have out there and I think, I haven't touched a sandbag this week. I'm going to do a crazy sandbag workout or, that axle bar. I watched the last games. They did a lot of Zercher carries and overheads. I should probably do that. Or, what? I hate sleds. Sleds suck. They're the worst. So I should probably do some sleds. So that's kind of my approach. And yeah, I would love to go out as an individual and just kill it. But also I just want to go out and make it through it and, show myself that I can do it and, not disqualify or get hurt. So that's really what I'm kind of focused on is like, just get out there, do the workouts and have a good time.
I love that. That's great. That's really, really awesome. Jon, what about you?
I think when I first got into it, and then I don't want to take credit for getting hurt, whatever.
I mean, kind of forcefully. You're like, hey, here's a gun. You're going to do this. Okay. Ready?
Yeah, pretty much. So, yeah, I think that my approach to it was safety. Safety was everything. One, having not to throw her under the bus, but having an uncomfortable shooter initially, it was like, no, everything we drive is safety driven. So, I think everybody's training method, if they're going to get into shooting sports of any sort, whether it's USPSA or tactical games, or I'm doing the operator challenge coming up, which we talk about here a little bit if you want, but hammer frickin' safety. So I hammered that. I will never put them on. Like we sat down on Friday or Saturday night. I don't remember what it was. She was super uncomfortable. I put her on a whole class on ARs and the function of ARs and every part of every piece in it to probably bored her out of her mind. But I'm like, hey, if you're gonna pick this rifle up, you're gonna understand every part of it. So that was my approach in that. And then I think shooting, I approached the sport wrong. I knew in New Mexico, I was like, man, I'm a little out of shape. We were at like 6,000 feet. I got freaking hammered that weekend, but my shooting was horrible. And my points were very evident to that. Yeah. And so I was like, no, this is a shooting sport with a fitness component. So if you're in good shape, yes, that's important, but you need to go into the range. You need to hammer range time. You need to shoot. Still, even after Idaho, I think I shot very well. I missed a podium by 10 points.
Oh, nice.
Against very good shooters. So I think they were amazing shooters. But again, I'm not hammering range enough. And that's where this entire sport comes and goes for people. I think too many people are like, I'm in great shape. You're like, good, be in great shape. And you'll miss every shot as fast as possible. So, but I think safety first, always at every point, and then just hammer.
Nice. Yeah. As soon as I brought my pistol home, the first thing that I did, because Chelsea was, really uncomfortable. Like she never had a pistol in the house before. So like we sat her down. I broke it down. I put it together. I put it in front of her and I'm like, okay, let's break this down together. And then I let her break it completely down, all the way down in pieces, and then put it back together. And then as soon as we got the AR, same thing. Like it was like, break it all the way down. I want you to understand every piece. We're going to go over and we're going to hammer how to do this when we're at the range, right in the garage. Like we're just going to go over every single piece, how to load it, how to turn the safety on, how to charge it, all the things. And she got comfortable with it here. Then we took it to the range and she was less scared of it when we got to the range, and she did fine. And now she's more and more comfortable, which is, I think it's super, super important.
Even to this day, like if we go clean rifles and pistols, I have a bench set up in my shop. We clean rifles and pistols across from each other. We make sure the piece part is not only clean, but put together correctly.
Yep.
We do that every competition, every time we go shoot, and we break everything down, put it back together so that everybody has an understanding of what's going on.
Regina, talking about this component, just because it's kind of relevant to this, one of my fears was, besides not really knowing how the firearm operated, but like all the different like malfunctions that you could experience. That was really kind of what was like scaring me, like all the different weird things that might happen with my pistol. Like I had some idea in my mind, like, oh my God, is it going to explode in my hand? And so he went and he bought dummy rounds and like, just with the fake rounds here in our house, manufactured all the different kind of, malfunctions, stovepipes, double feeds, whatever. And like had me work through and clear them. And I can remember like some of the very first times at the range where if I had one of the malfunctions, I was like, I don't know what to do. And of course now I've been like on a stage in a competition, have one of those. I could just look at it, fix it real quick and keep on going. That was like a really important thing, like for me trying to work through with, fake rounds, all the different things you come across.
I think to that point, just to that point, I see a lot because so in tactical games, obviously, once you judge the next group, so you're still on firing line as a judge, and you're there to kind of, you want everybody to do good, so you're also helping, like, hey, no, you got to do this next. Hey, don't forget this. But you see a lot of people that are out and they struggle with the ability to clear a firearm, or when you see somebody get DQ'd, it's because they didn't clear correctly, or they're making. But again, this is all stuff you can do in on home. And I guess, again, dummy rounds, to her point, are $10 on Amazon.
Yeah.
So you can set up every single malfunction almost any way you want and sit there and practice and then not have spent thousands of dollars to be out in Idaho or wherever to find out how to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I did the same thing. I bought dummy rounds. I bought 5.56 dummy rounds, and I have a bunch of snap points for our pistols. And whenever we're doing dry fire, and so like we have a pretty sweet setup in the garage, and we'll do a workout, dry fire, just like it would be a tactical games workout. That's like how we have been training lately, which is great, right? It teaches both of us like how we're going to get our pistol out of our holster, how we're going to put it, how we're going to clear it and put it back in our holster, and make sure that we're doing it right, so we don't have a chance of getting DQ'd whenever we go to a match, right? When we first got my rifle, when Chelsea was trying to charge it, how she was doing it, she was charging it very slow, so it would double feed, right? So it was really good practice for her to understand, like, I need to fix this so that way this doesn't happen, right? And then teaching her how to, so we live in the great state of Washington, which is trash. So I have a fixed magazine rifle, which sucks. I love my rifle. It shoots great, but it's a fixed magazine, right? So to load it, you have to break it in half and put in rounds from the top, or you have a stripper clip that you just stripper clip it in, which is great. Like that is super efficient. I love that. However, if you have a double feed, you can't open it, right? Because the bolt is back. So you have to take the bottom of the magazine off and drop all of the rounds out of it that way. God. It is a pain in the dick. Just saying, right? Because Washington sucks. But she understands how to do that, right? So that just gives it an extra level of safety. Like I love the fact that she understands it, right? So we're talking about actually moving to Idaho or Tennessee. So it's like, hey, we're going to have normal rifles. It's going to be fine. It's all going to work out.
So at Nationals last year, again, I had this stage, and after all these years, all this training and all these tactical games, and I was very safe about it, but like I had this 2-gun stage, and somebody asked me afterward, they're like, why were you manipulating your charging handle so much? And I'm like, I don't know. I just went into full freaking send it mode, and instead of just dropping the bolt, during these mandatory reloads, I'm like manipulating things, and I'm like, so I came home and I just started hammering again, manipulating, and it's a simple thing. It's something we do every game, so we do every time we're at the range. I just, even in your best moment, you're like, I'm at nationals and I'm just doing stupid shit.
It happens.
It's all this stuff is a diminishing skill to me. Like if you're not working on it constantly, it's a diminishing skill. Shooting is a diminishing skill. Weapons manipulation is a diminishing skill. It's just like fitness.
Yeah.
If I stop working out for 2 weeks, I go back to it. I'm not going to run like I was 2 weeks ago. It's, I got to work back at it.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, you can't take it for granted. Like, that's for sure, right? So the more, I love doing strongman stuff. I love playing with sandbags. I love doing all those things. And it's like, the more we do it, it's obviously fun. But like, if you take any time off of it, it's like, oh, I have to like relearn how to do this like correctly, right? So like, oh, my back is tired. Oh, I didn't remember, I didn't realize like how tired my back gets from doing these things. But yeah, we're dry firing every day, like, because I want for both of us to get better, but I also want less, like, I don't want to get there and be like up shit creek. You know what I mean? I'm like, no, I'm gonna, like, I practice. This is gonna be just fine. Like, I'm not worried about it, right? And I think that goes back to just being, a hard worker or whatever. So,
and you're right. And then that's the other side of dry fire, because like I have a lot of friends that are like, oh, I don't agree with dry fire. I like it. You're like, how could you not agree with the ability to feel your trigger pull every single time? Like, yes, you do not have the reaction of a bullet and recoil, but mastering your trigger pull is key to shooting, period.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
yeah. And we have a Manta setup, right? So it's like, we get to see what we're doing, what's going right, what's going wrong. And Chelsea just got her pistol, and we've been going to the range, and she doesn't intentionally do it, but she is anticipating the recoil. So the front of the firearm dips, right? So she's shooting low, but it's center mass. So she's on point. It's just low, right? And it's like, we're trying to get her past that. So it's like, the more we do it here, the more she's going to understand, okay, this is how it's going to go. So it's like, more practice, better off we're going to be. It's going to be fun. So go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing with you.
Okay, right on. So if you were going to give somebody advice on getting into this, what would you tell them?
I would say sign up. One, I talk to a lot of people who are like, yeah, I want to do that next year, or I want to do that when I'm in better shape, or I want to do that once I've shot some other stuff. And it's like, okay, well, just sign up. One, if you can afford it, obviously. There's a money aspect, and it's a very gear heavy sport, especially when you shoot teams with your wife and you got to buy, 4 of everything. And, so it gets expensive. So I understand that side of things, but 1, sign up, and then 2, safety. And then 3, just go hammer the range. Some of these guys and gals are shooting thousands and thousands of rounds a year. So to even keep up at that level, it's dry firing and going to the range. And again, if you can afford it, you got to be setting rounds down range. It just has to happen. And then the fitness aspect, look and see what the stages are. You can see stage, you can listen to the podcast they have that kind of sums up the stages and the after action of each of them. You can see some of the stage documents out there. Try and recreate those and do them, and then dry fire while you're doing them. And then, just go out, be safe, and have fun, and meet a bunch of freaking super cool people. You'll be hooked.
Hell yeah. Kelly?
I would say my advice is sign up for a skirmish. So skirmishes, they're not, in every state, but they're in several states. It's basically just a 1-day thing where you get 4 events versus tactical games is over 2 days. You get 8 events. It's a more chill environment. Newer people are there. So everyone's very welcoming, inviting, kind of helping teach you the flow of things. But even if you have just, what you would consider like the most basic gear and, a rifle and a pistol and a work for it, go out and do a skirmish. Just see what it's like, see where you need to practice, what you need to work on. And if you can't do a skirmish, you can volunteer at an event. And that way you're not doing it, but you're there in it. You see how it works. You see what the people are doing. So that at least also kind of gives you more of an idea versus just like kind of watching stuff on YouTube or whatever. So
that's great. I think that's a great idea. Honestly,
I still just send it and go for the full.
Always just send it. Gas pedal. That's it.
Just freaking go. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I want to talk about Poland as the team, right? And then I want to talk about Idaho. John, as you going for an individual this last weekend, and then I want to talk about this operator thing you got coming up. So Poland, talk to me about what you loved about it, what it was like renting to do it, and then how the competition went?
So the first year we did it in Poland was the last year. One, it was amazing. Everything about it was freaking amazing. I mean, other than the travel on both ends, it was just a long day of travel on both ends.
Okay, but before that, there was a lot of anxiety.
Oh,
too,
100%.
so-
There was anxiety, and she's doing most of the travel planning. So there was that. The rentals was a little bit sketchy. We were going to bring gear and rifles, but that turned into like having me travel a month out to an embassy here in the States to get permits and all that good stuff. And I'm like, you know what, screw it. And so she was in contact with Matt, who's the owner of the range in Poland. And he's like, no, we'll take great care of you. We'll have all your weapons. So we ended up deciding to rent. And then I think at that point, it's just like, hey, you know what? How about we just agree that if this whole thing goes to shit and we don't end up having weapons or something just goes wrong, we'll just totally dig having 2 weeks in Poland. Like, who gives a shit? We're in
Right.
Poland. We'll run around. We'll see all the sites. We'll eat food. We'll see if we can get a credit for a different event if we can't shoot. Like, life goes on. And I think once we hit that point, a lot of the anxiety went away with traveling overseas to go do this. I think for me, once we got there, other than the fact that even though I called myself carrier like 3 or 4 times, I had no cell service, so that was a little weird being in a different country and not having any way to communicate. But so that was a little interesting. That actually turned out to be a blessing in disguise. 2 weeks with no phone. It was amazing.
Oh, I bet. I would love to throw my phone in the river for a month.
Right? I was like, it's this moment of like, but this thing I use all day for business and all this stuff and talk to all these customers.
You didn't need it.
I had nothing. And then, I got back and nobody dropped me. And so business, so I just went back to normal.
When we got there, the range was so inviting.
Oh,
They were so nice. They were so
great.
friendly. The rentals ended up being so easy. They had a holster for us. I mean, everything just worked really smoothly. A lot of people have asked, back then and still even now, like, oh my gosh, how'd you get your firearms over? And I'm like, we didn't. We rented, and it was great. That's, again, part of the challenge is not only are you traveling overseas, you're jet lagged. You have no idea what's going to happen, like with the range. Now you get to work with some firearms that you've never shot before. And usually every tactical games has what they call a tune-up the day before, both here in the States, and they had it overseas. So we signed up, last year and this year. So at least it's one day of, shooting what you're going to be competing with. But it was great. They were awesome. And the
I love
range,
that.
most beautiful range I've ever seen.
Oh yeah. It's like this range from pre-World War II. It had been occupied by the Germans and then the Red Army during communism. And like, there's just tons of history there. And you can see all the architecture at the range as to when it was probably built just by looking at it. You're just, it's green. The temperature is perfect and beautiful. I mean, the experience is just
so nice. Yes. All the competitors, they're just so happy. They're so friendly. It was just great.
I think that was
from
the
different
biggest
countries. Yeah.
culture shock for me. Obviously, I wasn't an international travel type person before that. Was just meeting all these people and hearing their stories about the difficulties they have being able to shoot or own firearms or get ammo or do anything. Like talking, I'm now friends with a bunch of these French guys, and so these every time I talk to them or whatever, it's like, oh yeah, we can't holster draw at the range. It's illegal to dynamic train. You can't do any of that, or we can only own one gun, but it has to stay at the range in a locker. And
Or in certain countries, you only get like a little bit of ammo annually. So it's just like, wow, we have it pretty good here.
we have
So
it
we
good,
don't have it that bad.
no.
No.
So even with the funky Washington rules of rifles, we're still
Still,
pretty lucky to be able to do what we're able to do here.
Yeah.
So how were the stages any more difficult or different than how they set it up in the States? Or are they just like pretty much comparable?
Everything was very heavy.
I'm going to say it's harder. I mean,
Okay.
I don't know. Last year for sure, everything's written, of course, in kilos. So you're like, oh, cool. This bag says 40 kilos. And you go to pick it up. And of course, that's like 90 or close to 90 pounds. You're like, oh my God.
That's how you PR is just lift everything in kilos.
Just send it. Yeah, you don't know what you're lifting.
Yeah,
Exactly.
And, lifting the bags over the yokes, they don't adjust the height there. The yoke height is what it is. So you just got to figure that one out. And, we're running up and over berms, like in between, the lane line. So that was super steep. That was really hard for me. Last year, going over a bunch of walls with like rucksacks and stuff. I mean, Okay. I don't know if it was harder. It's just maybe it's harder because we traveled there, a little bit of jet lag, all that kind of stuff.
I think Matt's personality, like I don't know, just what I know of the time we've spent around and with him, I think he likes to push everybody real hard. I think he's one of those very high performers that like wants to push everybody. So yeah, I think he's not demonically, but he just likes creating these really tough stages. The shooting was a little bit different because they don't really have anything past 300. And so again, comparing that back to the other foreigners that came into the country, even we had a marathon mover. I don't know if you know what those are, where it's like pop-up command-sized targets. And once you hit them so many times, they drop.
Okay.
And it gives somebody feedback on an iPad. So it tells you what you're hitting and it gives you your score, your percentage of scores, whatever. But when they announced it was at like 250 yards, you see everybody's eyes light up because people don't get to shoot that far. Most of these guys, their ranges are like 100-yard ranges.
Okay.
And so, oh my God, 250, 300. Oh, it's so far.
Like,
and here,
I'm going to win this one.
Yeah, here we go out to my local range, and I mean, we could shoot out to 1,200, pretty consistently.
That's legit.
Yeah, so you can just like, it's just such an interesting culture shock. But yes, I found the stages super fun over there. Of course, we were shooting teams, and so obviously we're on vacation, we're having a blast, we're eating and drinking all this cool food, and they're just having a fun time. So I think it just made it that much more fun.
I love that. That's great. So when it came to the stages, how many stages did you guys have for the teams?
Everything, tactical games is always 8. So
always 8 stages. Okay.
Yeah, everyone does the same.
Unless it's nationals, and then it's 3 days, 12 stages. So
got it. So, and it's so the teams is just a version of the individual workouts, or how do they stack that up?
Every time whatever they create for individuals, they usually right under it on the stage description, they have the breakdown of how it's being broken up for teams. And so they'll give you a little bit of a different briefing for that after giving the individual briefing. But there's usually some variation of how you are working the stage, or like partner 1 might shoot and then partner 2 has to do the penalty work if it's a penalty shoot stage. And so they break it up that way. Individuals would still do this stuff. They just have to do it all themselves. Got it. Yeah.
That's awesome. So when it comes to when you're competing team, right? What is the best part about competing team? And we know, like, when we're competing team, you're like, oh, these ones, those are yours and things like that. But like, what's the best part about competing with the team? Or on the team?
When you have a great stage and you're like, hell yeah, we did that. We just crushed that stage, we did great. Or, I mean, even if you don't have a great stage and then, one teammate can kind of pump up the other one like, hey, you know what, whatever, it's fine. We're still in it. No one got hurt. On to the next one, and then kind of like take the other person out of their funk. I mean, sometimes that has to happen too, but just, when you have great communication and you plan out a stage together and you're able to execute it that way, that's what I think is pretty cool.
I love it.
Yeah, I think to her point, like sometimes going through it with somebody else. I mean, for me, like obviously I try and create a stage plan for every stage that I shoot going into it. When you are shooting with somebody else, obviously you start figuring out that, communicating how we should do it together, who's going to be where, or how that's going to play out. Or like in Poland, she shot a perfectly clean stage on one stage on a penalty. So I had to do 0 penalties. And being an asshole, I dropped 2 pistol shots.
Oh, way to go.
What a jerk. But
sometimes there's strategy to it. So on this stage, they built like this multi-level kind of rig type thing. So the penalty was you had to do like a big weave through it. And I'm 5'3", he's 6'3". So it was like, listen, how about I shoot the pistol? It's closer. You shoot the rifle. I know I can hit, the pistol target, no problem. And there was chest press strength that are also involved in it. But it's like, if someone has to do penalties, I'm smaller. I can crawl through these easier. So why don't I, take the pistol and so on and so forth. And that's actually how it ended up playing out. I was able to hit all the pistol targets. So he didn't have to do any of the weaves. And yeah, okay, I had to do 2, but it was like, no big deal for me.
Could play to strengths on teams, right? So like, I like heavy bags and I'm tall. So pushing a 200-pound bag over a tall bar, I'm going to do those. And, you can work some of the lighter bags and push them all, you just constantly juggle back and forth those strengths and weaknesses. Whereas individuals, if you can't pick something up, you're just shit out.
Yeah. Love that. You just get to stare at it. You're like, oh, this is cool. I like, so this lives on the ground and this is me staring at it.
I've watched that a couple times with other competitors. A lot of the wall gets a lot of people. So it's like a 6-footish wall. And I was at Nationals one year and they had a wall and the guy we ended up having a conversation for about 15 minutes because he's like, he tried 3 or 4 times and he's like, yes, I'm done. I keep going to the wall. And wall is, there are certain things, a 200 or 250 pound bag, or they had a door breach in Poland, or sometimes they'll have a wall. Those are those interesting things. If that's the entry to the stage and you can't do it,
that's it.
That's it. But you should also walk away and go, okay, I'm building a freaking wall. Guess
Absolutely.
what? All week, every week, I heave myself over this wall until I can like almost jump and clear the freaking wall. I mean, that's what you should do. But yeah, I think the communication, that's where it's fun, coming up with stage plans. And like, I'm left-handed and she's right-handed. So you can even plan out like, so my brass on my rifle ejects to left. It's like, okay, you shoot on the right, I'll shoot on the left, and we're we're not shooting brass to each other. So it's kind of a fun dynamic.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's really, really cool. So,
and even the bickering sometimes is fun. Not that I ever bicker with my wife pre-stage or after, but
Never.
So, it happens, or even on stage.
So let's talk about Idaho a little bit. When you were going into Idaho, what was one of the stages that you were looking forward to the most?
So, I didn't know the stages until Friday night.
Yeah.
And then, once I saw the stages, I'm like, okay, I knew there was a ruck run. So I was, I'm not really a runner, but I've been working really hard at running. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to push on that. And it was like, you run down this hill, turn around. Basically, you're running 400s down a hill and then back up with your weighted vest in that ruck. And every time you hit the top of the hill, you added another 10 or 20 pounds based on whatever part of the stage you're at. And so I worked really hard. I was surprisingly enough, I was like 412 run, and then there was a couple bag workouts. I like moving bags. So it's like 125 pound bags for time over a bar.
Okay.
You go, bag goes over, you go under, and you just do that till you're freaking done. So
yeah, I've been writing a lot of workouts, same kind of shit. Pick it up, put over a thing, do some shit, climb under it, whatever, blah blah blah. They're getting funner and funner. I'll tell you that right now. So, how did you shit the bed on the first workout? Like, what happened there? And like, how did you switch your mindset to come back and be like, wow, I'm gonna kick ass now?
Well, I wish I totally kicked ass, but I still stumbled. So the first stage was a spinner workout. It was an aggregate shoot. It was rifle first, and then you run up and shoot the same spinner pistol. So if you guys, whoever's listening, if you haven't shot spinners, go figure out how to shoot spinners. So I went prone for my first rifle spinner, and I sent my first shot. I was a hit, and then I got myself out of position, and I knew I was out of position. I was just not stable on my rifle, and I was kind of moving around, and I sent a few shots, and I'm like, finally I had to stop and go, what am I doing? I'm sending shots, not in position. So I burned about 10 seconds, like just burning shots. And then I got back on target, spun it within like 4 rounds. And then I ran up to shoot pistol, and I shot the pistol and spun it pretty clean. But at that point, I think I was like 52 seconds on that stage. And the majority of my group was in the 40s. So I'm like, right out of the gate on my first stage, that puts me right in the mid to lower part of my division. And then I don't remember what the second stage was.
I don't remember either. I just remember.
I don't know. I was so irritated about it because I was still irritated. I was irritated with myself on the first stage, knowing that I was out of position, still sending a few shots. That's again part of not just sending things, is thinking through the process of going, okay, if I'm in a bad position, stop, get in a better position, and then shoot clean. My second, I think, was freestanding rifle, which I think I've told you that's not my best shooting position. So I kind of didn't shoot as well as I'd hoped there. I think it dropped like 19 out of 50 shots or something.
That shit's hard. Standing rifle is hard. I'm just saying.
And then
people don't know that.
Yeah. As you get more and more fatigued, right? Like your shooting gets worse. And So after the second stage, I'm texting her. I'm like, I totally shit the bed. I think I've ruined this entire weekend. Like, I was pretty irritated myself. And then, I just had to like sit back and go, okay, I'm in Idaho. I'm shooting a ton of tactical games this year. I'm doing this to have fun. I'm going to shoot poorly on some stuff. It's just inevitable. Like, you can't shoot everything perfectly clean. I wish I could have. And I said, well, you know what? I'm just going to have fun the rest of the weekend. And I didn't have any delusions of hit the podium or anything. I think I went out on the run and I just barely missed first stage win on the run. So in my vision anyways. Then I just spent the rest of the weekend having a good time and I placed pretty well. But, again, I just missed third place podium by about 10 points. And it was the percentage that I lost on seconds on stage 1 and stage 2 that kind of put me right under there.
And
that's the learning lesson. And you come home and run more, do more, shoot more freestanding shit.
Hell yeah. And I mean, that's an awesome placing, and it sounds like as soon as you start having fun, you're like, oh yeah, wait, this isn't going to go so bad. That's pretty cool. Kelly, did you give him a little pep talk when he was texting you?
Well, I did. I had to text him. I'm like, what's happened has happened. You're done with those stages. So just, forget it, which of course is easy for me to say. It's not me and I'm not there. It's like, listen, just forget about it. Focus on what you have to do for the next one and just figure it out. Like, you're fine. You're fine. And of course, I'm looking at practice scores, seeing where he's standing. It's something that I don't like to do throughout the weekend. I don't want to know how we're doing. I don't know where. I don't want to know where I'm placed. That's just going to add stress to it. And he's kind of the same way. But since I wasn't there, I was looking and I'm like, okay, he's not doing too bad. He's in fourth, so it's gonna be okay. And so I just kind of pep talked him. And then when he texted me like, oh, I almost made a stage win, I'm like, okay, all right, he's back again. All right.
Oh yeah.
So
it's a roller coaster of emotion.
Of course. Just like literally everything, like if you care about it, it should be a roller coaster of emotions. If you didn't care about it, you'd be like, well, maybe I don't need to do this all the time.
Let me tell you, on that, just the roller coaster of emotion. I had a really bad stage in Poland, the running stage. And I was just like, I fell, I injured my Achilles. Like, I barely made the time cap with like 1 second to spare. We're in the car and I'm just like losing my mind. And he's like, do you need to just do a primal scream? Like, just let it all out. And I'm like, yeah. And I did. I was just like,
Love it.
It was fine. Yeah.
That's support right there. That is support. I love that.
Yeah.
I did pluck my ears. She can do that very loud. Yes.
You're like, wow, that was much louder than I thought it was going to be.
I really don't want to make her very angry. Yes.
Sometimes we need events. What can I say?
So when is the next time you're both competing?
August. We are going back overseas to Rome. Well, they call it Rome. It's an hour and a half north in a little town called Terni. But
okay.
Yeah. Yep. We're going to do teams there.
That's amazing. I love that. And then what's training look like when you guys are training for doing teams? Does it change at all from what you're doing individually, or do you guys like work out all the time together?
We try to work out most of the time together. If we're training, and a lot of our workouts, just because it keeps us both, I think, more motivated. Like, we try to set up partner workouts. So it's like, even though we may not be stopping while a partner is working out, we try to set up things where it's like, okay, well, I'm doing burpees, you're doing a sandbag carry, and then we'll switch over to some other implement. Or if you're doing rope climbs, then I have to do burpees until both your rope climbs are done. So we try to set up those workouts so that I don't know if we consciously ever have talked about it, but I think we just naturally do it because it keeps us communicating while we're working out. And then it's motivating because it's like, well, shit, she's already getting the second rope climb done, and I've only done 10 burpees, or whatever. And so
I need to get moving.
Yeah, I think one of the things that, to me, that gets lost when you don't go to a CrossFit gym anymore is you don't have that competitive nature. And that was one of my favorite things, right? You go to these gyms, the same people. You usually find the people that are kind of at your fitness level, and then you're in that little back and forth. You're like, okay, I'll see if I can hit you out on this workout or whatever.
I called him my gym nemesis.
Yeah,
my gym nemesis.
And it was so fun. So you kind of lose that when you're doing your own home stuff. So I think this is our way to just kind of keep the communication going, but also kind of push each other.
Yeah,
that's great.
So
that is hard, and it is hard sometimes to work out by yourself and keep yourself motivated to push hard. It's
Oh,
a lot
like our hill
easier to
sprints
play.
this morning,
Yeah.
it was just like one person started going. And we're like, well, shit, I guess we're not resting after that.
You're like,
Yeah.
you want to
You
rest
know,
10 more seconds or go? I'm like, let's go.
let's go.
No, I think that's super great. Having the discipline to do things like that, that's super cool. So, what have you noticed about the tactical games community compared to other communities that you've been a part of, like CrossFit or Strongman or anything like that? Have you noticed any difference?
Yeah, there's a pretty huge difference to me. A lot of the competition type stuff that I've done, whether it's like to me triathlons or strongman, you meet a lot of really cool people, right? But like everybody's they're doing what they're doing to win. I feel like, whereas I would say the tactical games, you meet people and it seems like everybody there that's there competitively wants to see you do well and will push you, help you in any way, shape, or form. If you're missing gear. So when I back to New Mexico, my very first event, right? I missed most of the briefings, which is horrible. I was like so stressed out about having my gear and having all this shit. And so I'm like missing briefings. And on one side of me was this guy named Andy, and he was a swift boat guy in the Navy. And on the other side is a guy named Joey, who's like a pro shooter. I'm lining up. I'm like, what the frick am I doing here? Right. But both of them, like, they just helped me through the weekend. Everything I could, I was unsure about, or if I didn't know if I had the right gear, or like everybody was just so inviting. And like to this day, if I was missing something, I guarantee 10 people would come out of the woodwork to find you, I think, whether, magazines or like, even I was on a stage in Idaho. And so a guy walked up and he was like, dude, I'm like 5 rounds short. I don't know how I counted 5 rounds short. And it's like, well, I got a whole box of ammo here. Take 5. It's
Yeah.
little things where this community just, and we saw a lot in Poland. Like one of the competitors showed up and her bags were stuck at Warsaw. And the airport in Warsaw was like, she's like, I see my air tags. And they're like, yeah, don't come here. We don't care.
Don't even come here.
Yeah, she's like texting her, like she's asking like, what do I do? And it's like, okay, go find yourself clothing because nobody can really help you with that. But here's the location of a sporting goods store. And then pretty much by the time she was done traveling there to get clothing, a bunch of people would come in, hey, I've got extra magazines. Hey, I've got an extra belt. The range had an extra tap vest.
Like everybody threw stuff together.
Everybody had their stuff.
Yeah.
And like basically within hours, she had everything she needed for the weekend.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Right. And, you don't know that going in, but
Right.
like, again, back to this New Mexico where I was totally out of my depth,
Right.
shooting against these guys that clearly have been shooting for 20 years in competitions. And I'm like, holy shit. And they're basically walking me through stages and helping me out. Like, hey, try this next time. Work on that, maybe do this the next stage. And nobody wants to see you fail. And I think one of my favorite things about going out to the tactical games, so even like back to Idaho this weekend, one guy thought I was irritated that I wasn't. So he was a third and we were kind of set up right next to each other. And he thought I was like irritated that I wasn't at a podium. He beat me by 10 points. And I'm not irritated. I shot against you at your best. We had a great weekend. I just need to train frickin' harder. And everybody out there is there to see you succeed and wants you to shoot your best and perform at your best. And whereas a lot of other sports, it's kind of like, it's not solo. Everybody's out there doing their own thing and they don't, not necessarily there to help you. They're not there to give you pointers.
People are like more of an island than other events.
Yeah, and you see it, like, I'm sure you've been to CrossFit competitions. Everybody kind of stays with the group, but does their thing and has their people. And, here in TAC games, I don't think there's people. I think there's just a bunch of competitors that want to do their best for other people and help other people succeed. I think
that is so awesome. Cause like, I mean, even at most CrossFit gyms, honestly, like, there's cliques and it's like people, they're there to compete, even if it's a class. And it's like, it's not my jam. Like I want to be there to help people. I want to support people. I want to do all those things. Like I think that's super cool. Kelly, what do you feel about the community?
I mean, it's the same thing. He said it perfectly. Everyone is super friendly. By the end of the weekend, the squad, usually you see how these squad pictures that get taken because, everyone's, in the suck together, so to speak. And, doing these workouts together and just cheering each other on. And, he had mentioned earlier, after you get done with your stage, you have to stay on and you have to judge the next people. And, I've been judging people where I'm like screaming for them, cheering for them, even if they're in my same division, because, I mean, that's just, I don't know, that's just feeling of the event. Like, let's go, you can do this. Here's a tip, here's a trick, try this, like, get after it. Because, if I'm competing against someone, I want to compete against them, at their best, to see how I stack up, right? So, yeah, it's just, yeah, I don't know, it's a very friendly, very open, welcoming community.
I love that. That's so great. Like, there's not enough of that in the world anymore, honestly. People are just like
Yeah.
blinders on.
Mhm.
They're like, I care about me and only me, right? It's just,
Right.
that's not the
And
world I live in.
to find it a shooting range. Isn't that the weirdest thing?
Right.
Yeah, you would
Like,
think so.
I've done all these things. I worked for fire for 20 years. I didn't really find that there. I did all these other competitions. I never found it there. I'm at a freaking range in the middle of Idaho, and that's where I find,
Yeah.
that's what's cool about it to me.
And
You
people
know?
talk so much shit about guns. What the
Yeah,
hell?
and to that note, I have never felt more. You walk around this place, and this total weird offshoot. When I first started the tactical games, I mean, I live in the middle of Phoenix, so like I lock everything, and my gates are locked, shop and security and all this shit. I swear to God, you walk around the tactical games, everybody's trunk is open. I mean, there is guns everywhere. I've never felt so safe leaving stuff sit. And
Right.
you're talking thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of guns scattered throughout this whole range. They're just there. And, these people are, for the most part, so honest. It's just like, yeah, like,
Yeah.
That's
we're
really
here to
cool.
help you. Yeah, I know. It is a very cool environment. They've set that
It gives me hope for humanity again. You know what I mean? Because it's like, man, like shit has fallen off in so many ways, for sure. Guys, I think that we covered all of the things. Oh, you have an operator thing coming up. Tell me about the operator competition you got coming up.
So it's called the Total Operator Challenge, and it's put on by Kirk Homer, who he used to do. So I met Kirk, and he used to do all the tune-ups for the tactical games, and he used to compete those same weekends. So he'd do the tune-up for everybody on Friday, and then he would compete. He's an amazing competitor. Has podiumed a ton of times, but more so, he's always been a really amazing instructor, and so I just kind of always followed him. And he started a thing called the Total Operator Challenge. And so this is the very first event. It's in Utah at the Farm Training Center. And basically the way it's set up right now, because, it's new and it's small, and it sounds like most of us are all shooting it in a one-day format. So I will be shooting 10 stages on Friday.
Okay. That's a lot of stages.
That's a lot of stages. 8 of them are physical stages, and then 2 of them are what he's calling field craft. And we have no idea what, I don't know if I'm going to be like whittling sticks to start fire, or if like building a fucking teepee, or doing some sort of cool thing. I have no clue.
Making a hammock out of some wood.
I don't know. Weaving a winter hat. I have no idea. Like,
I love this.
Yes. And so I was like, when I saw it, I'm like, one, he has given me more shooting tips than most people I know.
That's awesome.
Is just a really good person. So anybody that's listening, figure out how to either sign up or follow them and do the next one or whatever. I will be giving feedback at some point, somehow, some way about my experience with it, because I'm excited about it. But he's just, I'm excited to see the stages. I feel like he set up a lot of longer range stages in the past in attack games. I don't know for sure, but some of my favorite stages were him as an RO when he was ROing, and they're usually the long range things. So pretty excited about it. I'm excited to see what this Fieldcraft thing is about. Like, I have no idea what I'm going to be doing.
This is going to be dope. I'm gonna follow along, because like this sounds really, really cool. And I'll put
so
some links
weird,
in the
right?
notes and stuff like that. That is definitely cool.
Or just figuring out how to do 10 freaking stages in one day. Like,
I feel like the fatigue level is going to be high. Yeah.
Oh, it'd be so good. But yeah,
you have to carry all your stuff, you said. So you have to have everything you need for the day with you. So
yeah, it's not structured. So I started Mammoth Challenge, if you know what that is. Me and my partner didn't make it this year because of an injured it is, but same premise where you carry your gear, not to that extreme. But yeah, you're not really going back to your car for anything. So
you're taking all your rounds, all of the gear that you need, everything for the whole day.
That's what he said. Snacks, food, ammo, guns, clothing, water.
That shit sounds fun. Like, yeah, give me that hard thing. I'll do that hard thing till I die. Like,
well, if you want something hard, have you ever looked up Mammoth Challenge?
Huh?
Okay, so we tried again. Me and my partner tried to do it this year, It wasn't Kelly. I'm trying to get her
Yeah, I said
for
no.
years now.
I said
So it's a 3-day event, and you carry literally everything. So
Okay.
all your weapons, from all your ammo,
tent.
camping gear,
Yeah.
food. They provide water, but every day it's basically roughly 6 miles in, it's 6 miles out, and you're not allowed to touch your car. You'll get disqualified if you go at your car.
Okay.
Mammoth 1 is 3 straight days where you go campsite to campsite, but in the middle of the day. So for Mammoth 2, basically you shoot 5 stages a day after you've rucked your 6 miles with all your 70-some pounds. Shoot 5 stages, ruck back at camp. This year just happened to be I don't know if you saw those thunderstorms a few months ago when I shot it. It was like just torrential downpour. It was freaking amazing. It was amazing until we could make a ruck time. So
That sounds epic. Like I have a whole new YouTube hold of fall down. So that's cool.
Oh, good luck. It's steep. It's yes,
Yeah,
it is quite right.
I mean, I love a good YouTube wormhole to fall into. I'm not gonna lie.
It's obsessive. Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Like I'm on YouTube watching stuff about tactical games and shooting and how do I get better, blah blah blah, all the time because it's fun. That's why.
Yeah.
You guys, I cannot thank you enough for hanging out with me for almost an hour and a half. Such good stuff. I'm gonna get this episode up probably in the next 10 days. Okay, I got one more that I got to put up, and then I'll get your guys' up. Is there anything you want to add? Is there anything that any way you want anybody to get a hold of you if they have questions or anything like that? I can put your Instagrams in there if you want me to, or I can put some emails.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we're both on Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome to do whatever. If people have questions, I'm always more than happy to answer questions.
Yeah.
Limited knowledge.
I do get a lot of questions from people from different videos and stuff I put up, just like even of my training. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that's
I will put
Then
your
if you need-
contact info there.
Let us know.
What's that?
If you ever need anything, let us know.
Oh, you guys are stuck with me for good. I don't know if you know that, but that's what's gonna happen.
I'm
Like, hey, I need all the help.
I'm excited to hear which event you're signing up for.
Yeah,
That's what
because John, you're in the 40 plus, right?
sort of. I'm bouncing around. I might switch to elite in Montana. I shot a team elite in Texas this year.
Nice.
And they got worked. And we still qualified for nationals,
Hell yeah.
but I'm obsessed with this idea of trying to shoot elite again for the world.
I love that. Yeah, good for you. Because
Oh.
I'm 44, so it's like we'd be in the same category. So that would be fun.
Oh, yeah. And that's so the interesting thing about 40 plus is you have a lot of very, very proficient shooters. It is incredible to watch the amount of they're either guys that were in elite or pro shooters or just guys that were military operators for 20 years and just frickin' shoot.
And that goes the same for the women's 40. They are beasts.
It's crazy. It's insane. Like even this in Idaho, I think 2 of the women's categories shot perfect scores, which means two of them basically won every stage. And therefore they got 100% every stage score. I'm like, I don't even know if I've heard of that before. I'm sure it's happened.
Yeah.
But
Awesome.
2 people at one event just destroyed every event. Wow.
That's legit. I think that's super cool. Yeah. Like I want to learn from all of the operators and everybody. I'm like, hey, just teach me how to be better. That's all I want.
Yeah. So the one guy I shoot next to, he shoots in tactical now because whatever. But I knew I was in trouble because, we have some pretty nice guns and stuff. Like I built a lot of guns and our pistols are custom built pistols. He freaking destroys me with a Glock, and he's going to destroy me with the same stock
Thanks,
Glock.
man.
Yeah. Like, man, all this mechanical advantage in these shooting $7 Glock.
Yeah.
But he's probably shooting thousands upon thousands of rounds.
Oh, yeah.
That's weird. Right?
Yeah, these guys are
Not what you have.
10,000+ rounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not the toys. It's the skill or something like that. So I guess somebody said sometime. Exactly. Again, thank you guys so much. You guys are very, very awesome. I really, really appreciate it. And I will be definitely reaching out to you for some questions and things like that. And as soon as I figure out when we're going to do this, I will let you guys know. And hopefully we're at the same one.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us on.
All right, guys. I hope you have an awesome rest of your weekend, and we'll chat soon.
Absolutely.
All right.
Good rest of the weekend. Well,
have a great one. All right.